evening, welcome back to my channel. So it dawns on me that I did not cover the technique I used to get the contrast here. This is essentially an oil painting technique, right? Now these are dry. I am in the process of gradually laying these out. Where we are is each one of these steps is going to take a while. So you can see here where my painting to blend in the base to the or blend in the Moonbase to the base is showing. So I'm going to be going back and redoing some of this, and I believe that was in my previous video. But what you're seeing here is where I've gotten so far. I'm going to need to do the next round of that. But I wanted to point out a couple things. So if we look at, say, this one here, right? Now this one here has a place for a travel tube, and it may or may not actually match up to a real travel tube. Now, since that'll go there, it actually will, so I won't need to mess with it. This one also will match up to a real travel tube, so this one I don't need to modify. However, there are plenty of these that I did. I actually had to modify and cover up holes, and you can see that here. In essence, all I did was took a piece of styrene, and of course the piece that I have, I actually have a piece that's ready, but I cut a strip of this, right, and I painted it in the same bone white that I did the base here, but because I'd already weathered it, the weathering, I mean, it stands out that it's not weathered. So while I was going through this stuff, one of the things I realized I had not done is actually gone through the process I did to weather and get this contrast. So I'm actually going to do that real quick. I'd like to show sort of the process for what I'm doing, and like I'll do it on that piece. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a couple of these sacrificial pieces. So these are the old style landing base and the old eagles, and I can actually use those as a demonstrator. So what did I do? I used oil base. So really all I did was this. I used either the black or the brown, and I did an oil-based wash. So dark brown, black, and black actually looked better. So that's what I ended up doing. So what I have here is a small cap, and this is sort of my drench palette, I guess, if you would call it. And I have my little reservoir here, and this is of Gamsol, just white spirits. And all I do, right, really, is I put my little reservoir thing here on the side, and I take one of my brushes, and I'll come back, and I intentionally put the paint on a piece of cardboard so that it will, so that the oils will drain out, because I want actually the paint, right? So this is on purpose. Otherwise I put it in a plastic palette, but I intentionally want these to come in because I'm going to go back later and do a little bit of a dry brush technique, and I want the dry pigments. I can use a heavier brush to go back and get those, but that's later. So now all I'm doing is I'm taking a bunch of the mineral spirits, and I'm making a little reservoir, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little black wash. And that's really all it is. I'm just making a black wash. And considering the cost of, like, I mean, you can go get black washes, you can buy black washes, or washes, but I have found that the washes, so acrylic washes dry too fast, and they don't clean up well. They leave tide marks and things like that, and I just really don't like the look of it. And these actually go in well. And this I can go back and clean up later. So all I did, like around the edges on those, is first thing I do, so that's like really, really thick, right? That's a lot heavier than I want. So I'm going to go back and just get more. I want to get a lot of the pigment out of my brush, and so now that should be looser. Right? There, that's about that there is about what I want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here, and then all I'm doing is I'm hitting that. That's it. That's what I did. I just did that. And I went all the way around each one of these pieces, hitting those parts. And then occasionally I would hit, I just hit one just to mix it up. And then you'll see that the intensity varies depending on whether I've gone back in or not, or whether I've spread it out or not. And I'm actually just hitting near the top and letting gravity take it down. Right? And then so for the top pieces, all I did was touch them. Now that's a little heavier than I want, but that's fine. And then since I've got those there, I'll just sort of do that. And really, that's what I did. Now, if I want to get the dark there, I'll just go ahead and brush over it. So this here, hit there. And, maybe I want some color here. So let's go ahead and we'll color this one in. And I'll go back over this here in a bit. So this literally is all I did. And like on this side, I'm not going to cover the entire panel. I'm just going to cover that piece. Do that. That's it. And then that's how I did all of those. So you can see here, that's the same effect, right? Now, let's say this one here, let's say I don't like that. I can just hit it real quick. Now this is dry. This has been dry for a couple of days. But I can then hit it with the white spirit. I can go back in. I can wipe it off. And there, see that? Lighten that up just a little bit. And if I want to lighten it up more, I can rub a little harder. And that brings it up. And by letting gravity do that, it sort of faded things down. So what I'm going to do now is these pieces here that have been replaced, I'm just kind of go through here and I'm going to hit them. I'm going to hit them again and darken them up. So I want to go back and I want to find them all. There's not a whole lot of them. But the ones that are there are noticeable once you see them. This one here. And again, by going top down, it lets gravity take it and it sort of does your blending for you. And there's one right there. There's a couple here. Yeah, those there. I don't like this color here. It's looking a little light. So let that go there. There's a couple there. So I'm intentionally going to go ahead and let that show. Again, this in what I just did with my finger. You can, it's the beauty of this is it's that easy. So there, that is the technique I use to actually do the shading. And I kind of feel bad that I didn't go through and point that out. But like some of these big areas, I went ahead and colored heavily and then went back with cotton bud and wiped off. And that's sort of the real trick to it is, or the advantage of these things is you can actually do that. You can go back and just redo. So like this here, right? Let's put this up here. Let's say I don't like this and I want to add a little more, right? Or this here. And that's what I'm doing here is I can just touch there, and all I have to do is just touch it. Now you can see how harsh that is compared to the one next to it. So I'm going to have to come back, which I will, and give it a quick wipe. And that will be after the stuff dries up. And you can see like that one, I'd sort of wiped off a little more than I wanted. So just giving it a little more here. But yeah, that's really all I did for this. And then for the eagles, I did the same. Right, so where are they? I pulled them out. Yeah, so I've hit them. I've hit the eagles with this. And now I will go back when I'm ready to do it. I'm going to wipe them down. That's going to give me my shading. It's still not going to do the tips or the engine bells and things like that. So there's going to be a lot of fine detail painting to do on the eagles. But, that's the overall effect right now, which is actually good. It gives me what I wanted for the time being. And, it's a very simple, easy technique to do. And it's just a matter of regulating. I mean, what gives you your flowy is how much oil, how much, or mineral spirit, I guess, is, your mineral spirit to pigment combination, right? And, don't worry about these little oversteps. Even though it's on a white spot, who cares? Because the nice thing about this is you can and will, if you want to, go back and clean it up. All you have to do is just take a little more and take a cotton bud and touch it. But you can see how easy that does the edging around. If you take, all you really have to do is touch, and your capillary action will run along the edges of your pieces. So there we go. With that said, this is where I am so far with Moonbase. I'm finding that this particular project is a little bit challenging, and in part for a couple of things, right? So one of the issues is I really can only put one or two pieces on at a time because of the way the base goes together and because of the shaping and the warping and all that. I pretty much have to put like one or two pieces on, and then I have to weight them down. I really only have one weight that's about the right weight that I want to use, so I can rest this on like one or two pieces. And this isn't so heavy that it crushes, but it's heavy enough that it will hold the pieces in and get them to form. And then the next step now is going to be putting the edge pieces. So there are some places where I don't need to worry about edging. It's like a couple places around here, but I do here, right? Now that may be hidden by this piece. We'll have to see where that piece goes. But like there, right? That one looks pretty good. I don't need to edge there. Need to edge a little bit here, but what I did here when I was doing this is a little much, and I was brushing on PVA glue, and I think that's where the problem was. And what I'm going to do, and the one that I did here, where is it? This guy here, I did using a cocktail stick, and that was a lot better. So there's this little fine little bead of glue at the base. It's much better than the brush, so I don't have the white coming out and then I have to paint it and do all that. So I'm still gonna have to blend this in, which I can do. And this is really, really dark as it is. I'm not gonna leave it this dark. I'm gonna be bringing it back up to colors like this. I've started to do a little bit of dry brushing on this corner to sort of bring stuff up, but this is sort of the color I'm going for, this sort of look. So this will have to spread all the way out. I may end up using my airbrush. I'm not sure. We'll see. But, that's sort of the Moonbase update for now. I will, quit waffling on because I have done that for a bit today. And I will let you all go. And until next time, happy modeling.